Liam stepped off the ship onto the jagged rocks, feeling the uneven ground shift under his boots. The air was thick with a strange purple fog that clung to his suit, making every breath feel heavy. He took a slow step forward, letting his eyes sweep over the landscape. The planet looked like it had been abandoned for 1,000 years, yet every detail hinted at danger. Sharp cliffs jutted out at impossible angles, and the jagged rocks beneath his feet glinted with a strange metallic sheen. It was beautiful in a deadly kind of way. Sophie came next, her boots crunching softly on the broken ground. She adjusted the visor on her helmet and scanned the toxic fog with her suit sensors. "Nothing yet," she said calmly, though her eyes never stopped moving. Every sound seemed amplified in the quiet, and even the faintest movement in the fog made her body tense. This was the kind of place designed to break explorers. Most species wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes here. But humans? Humans thrived on it. Liam breathed in slowly, feeling the suit filter the air. "This world wants to kill us," he said, his voice echoing slightly in his helmet. "Too bad it picked the wrong species." He smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. He knew the words were half a joke, but half was true. Every life form had rules here, and the humans were masters at ignoring rules. They had survived worlds that could crush a normal crew in seconds. This place might try the same, but it would fail. He motioned for Sophie to move closer. "Let's keep scanning," he said. "There's more out there than just rocks and fog." Together, they started across the uneven terrain. The ground crunched and shifted beneath them, each step requiring careful balance. Liam's suit sensors beeped faintly as they detected low-level energy readings. He didn't know what they were yet, but he knew instinctively they were the kind of traps no ordinary species could survive. Sophie adjusted her gloves, tapping at the control panel on her suit. "Energy readings are scattered," she said. "Could be natural, could be artificial." Her voice was steady, even though her eyes betrayed a flicker of curiosity. Most humans would have been terrified, but humans were different here. Curiosity didn't die in fear, it grew stronger. Liam could see it in Sophie's stance, the way she moved without hesitation. The fog swirled around them, thickening suddenly. Liam raised his arm to signal the team to stop. From somewhere deep in the mist came a sound, like a distant rumble but sharper, more deliberate. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't any creature he had encountered before. His instincts screamed danger, yet his heart beat faster with excitement. Humans weren't just survivors, they were explorers. Danger was not a reason to turn back, it was a reason to step forward. Sophie knelt down and placed her hand on the rocky surface. "The ground is weird," she said, squinting through the fog. She pressed a small probe against the rock, and it beeped with a soft green light. "It's alive," she whispered, more to herself than to Liam. "Not in the way we think, but this planet reacts to us." Liam crouched beside her, eyes narrowing. "Reacts how?" he asked. "It shifts. Subtly, but enough to tell it notices us," Sophie said. "Like it's watching, waiting." Her voice was calm, but Liam could see the tension in her shoulders. It was a strange feeling, being on a planet that wasn't just hostile but aware. Most humans would freeze. Most humans would run. But not Liam and not Sophie. A sudden movement caught Liam's eye, a rock far ahead, moving without wind or visible cause. He raised a hand to warn Sophie, but she had already seen it. They both froze, every muscle tight. The rock wasn't rolling naturally, it shifted on its own, almost sliding along the surface as if something beneath it was alive. "Test it," Liam whispered. Sophie nodded, pulling a small device from her belt. It sent a pulse of energy toward the rock. The rock quivered, then stopped moving. For a moment nothing happened. Then, slowly, it slid back into its original position. Liam exhaled. "It's a trap," he said simply. "And it's clever." Sophie straightened. "Not clever enough," she said. "Humans are better at thinking outside the rules." She smiled faintly, a spark of excitement in her eyes. Liam nodded in agreement. That spark, that curiosity, that defiance, was why they were alive here when others would fail. They continued onward, stepping carefully across the jagged rocks. The fog grew denser, and strange shapes appeared in the distance, shadows that moved unnaturally. Liam's sensors beeped again, showing low-level energy spikes. Whatever this place was, it had mechanisms designed to kill intruders. Alien technology, he guessed. The planet itself was a death trap, built to stop any life form brave enough, or foolish enough, to enter. "Do you ever wonder," Sophie asked quietly, "who built this?" Liam shook his head. "Doesn't matter. Whoever it was, they clearly never met humans." His tone carried amusement and pride. Humans had survived worlds that other species considered uninhabitable, and they had done it without superpowers or shields that made them invincible. Their strength was simple: courage, creativity, and stubbornness. As they moved deeper into the fog, Liam noticed the air seemed heavier, almost pressing against him. Each breath felt more difficult, yet he pushed forward. He could hear Sophie adjusting her suit behind him, her breathing steady. They were careful, calculating each step, but also daring enough to push the boundaries. Suddenly the ground trembled beneath them. A fissure opened along a nearby ridge, glowing faintly with an unnatural light. Liam froze, studying the pattern. "It's alive," he said again, echoing Sophie's earlier words. "And it's trying to figure us out." Sophie crouched beside him, eyes narrowing. "We're moving too fast. We need to be slower, deliberate." She tapped her wrist display, highlighting the safest path through the jagged rocks. "Follow the energy flow," she said. "It's the only way we'll survive the first hour." Liam nodded. They began to move again, carefully stepping over shifting rocks and avoiding unstable patches. The fog whispered around them, cold and sharp, carrying strange sounds that made the hairs on the back of Liam's neck stand up. It was a living test, this world. A puzzle designed to break intruders before they even reached the heart of it. Hours passed, though time felt strange under the fog. Liam and Sophie communicated mostly with hand signals, occasionally speaking in low voices. Every step required focus and every step carried risk. But humans thrived on risk. It was what set them apart from other species. Where others would see danger, humans saw opportunity. Where others froze, humans acted. Finally they reached a plateau. The fog thinned just enough to reveal a distant structure jutting out of the jagged rocks. It was massive, metallic, and covered in strange symbols that pulsed faintly. Liam squinted through his visor. "That's our destination," he said. "Whatever this world wants to do, we'll meet it head-on." Sophie nodded, adjusting her gloves. "Let's move carefully. But I think we can do it." Liam grinned beneath his helmet. "Of course we can. Humans always do." And with that, they stepped forward together, ready to face the death trap that had been designed to end all life. The fog swirled around them, the rocks shifted beneath their boots, and somewhere deep in the planet, the sensors beeped. The glowing chasm stretched before them like a wound in the earth. Liam paused at the edge, feeling the heat from the strange energy waves that pulsed rhythmically across the deep divide. The ground trembled slightly beneath his boots, and the jagged rocks on either side looked slippery and unstable. He could feel the raw power of the planet's defenses here, almost as if the land itself was alive, testing anyone who dared to cross. The glow was hypnotic, shifting between blue and green with each pulse, casting eerie shadows across the team's suits. Sophie crouched beside him, scanning the chasm with her sensors. "The pulses are regular," she said, her voice calm but firm. "If we time it right, we can cross safely." Liam nodded, trusting her instincts. She had a gift for reading alien tech in strange environments, a skill humans seemed to have naturally. She had already proven herself on this planet by noticing subtle movements in the rocks, patterns invisible to anyone else. Ella stepped forward next, her long strides carrying her closer to the edge. She was tense, yet her movements were precise. She had been trained for situations like this, but nothing compared to the unpredictability of a living death world. She crouched slightly, her suit adjusting to maintain balance on the jagged rocks. Then she timed the pulse perfectly. A flash of energy raced across the chasm, lighting up the jagged walls with a harsh white light. In that brief moment she leapt. Her movement was almost a blur. The wind whistled in her ears, the suit stabilizing her midair as she landed lightly on the opposite ledge. She didn't stumble. She didn't hesitate. She turned to signal the others, her hand pointing for them to follow. Liam felt a surge of pride. Humans were built for challenges like this. Where other species would panic at a deadly obstacle, humans adapted and acted. Tom came next, his grin wide under the helmet. "Watch this," he said, his voice echoing slightly. Without hesitation he sprinted to the edge, timing the pulse just slightly differently than Ella. The energy flared in a dangerous arc, but Tom jumped and twisted midair, landing perfectly beside her. He laughed, the sound cutting through the tense air. "Humans were never predictable," he said, letting the words hang in the strange silence of the chasm. Liam shook his head, smiling under his visor. "No, we're not," he said quietly. He looked at the glowing energy waves, noting the timing, the shape, and the rhythm. Most life forms would have died trying to guess it. Humans, though, they didn't guess. They analyzed, they adapted, and they improvised. That combination of courage, logic, and recklessness gave them an edge no alien trap could fully anticipate. They paused briefly to catch their breath, each one of them aware of the thin line between life and death. The chasm stretched farther than their sensors could reach, and the glow shifted in intensity. Liam could feel a low hum beneath the surface, almost like the pulse of a heartbeat. The land was alive, monitoring every step. It wasn't just the energy beams that were dangerous. The chasm itself seemed aware of intruders, ready to adjust and punish anyone who moved too slowly or too quickly. Sophie crouched beside the ledge, her sensors scanning the edges. There might be more of these ahead, she said. And they could get trickier. Her voice was steady, but Liam could sense the underlying concern. Every obstacle they overcame only meant that a bigger one waited ahead. But that was the way of humans, they didn't retreat from danger. They moved forward. Every pulse, every hazard, every threat was a test, and humans were made to pass. Ella peered down into the chasm. She could see energy beams crackling along the walls, jumping unpredictably in some places. It's like the planet is trying to learn from us, she said. Every time we move, it reacts. Liam nodded, watching the energy pulses flicker in response to their presence. It was true. The planet seemed to shift, almost as if it was studying their movement patterns, learning how to stop them. But the humans didn't care. They adjusted, improvised, and found new paths forward. Tom laughed again. I think it's trying to scare us, he said. Too bad it doesn't understand humans. He waved his hands, almost taunting the glowing energy as if daring it to strike. Liam felt a flicker of amusement at Tom's boldness. Most species would have frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. But humans thrived in situations where others faltered. Fear was not a barrier, it was fuel. They began to move again, crossing the next section of the chasm with careful timing. Liam led, his eyes focused, adjusting every step for the energy pulses. Sophie followed, reading the patterns, analyzing and predicting what came next. Ella and Tom took the final steps, moving with grace and precision. Each leap, each landing was calculated yet daring. Humans weren't just surviving, they were dominating. Midway across, the ground beneath Liam trembled slightly. A small rock shifted and a crack appeared in the ledge. He froze, sensing the danger immediately. One wrong step and they could fall into the glowing abyss. But he didn't panic. Humans rarely panicked. Instead, he adjusted his footing, calculated the timing of the next pulse, and leapt over the cracked section. Sophie mirrored his movement, landing beside him with a soft thud. Ella and Tom watched, then followed without hesitation. They moved like a single unit, synchronized by experience, trust, and instinct. The planet could try to kill them, could react to their every move, but humans had something no other species possessed: unpredictability. They didn't just react. They improvised, creating new strategies with every step. Finally, they reached a stable ledge, far enough from the glowing energy that they could pause. Liam exhaled, feeling the weight of tension leave his shoulders. That was close, he said quietly, though the excitement in his eyes betrayed him. Sophie smiled faintly. Too close to be scared, she said. But just right to keep us alive. Tom kicked a small rock into the chasm, watching it tumble down, crackling against the glowing walls. The planet's clever, he said. But it didn't count on humans. Liam laughed softly. No, it didn't. It really didn't. They had faced one of the planet's deadliest defenses and survived, not through brute strength but through timing, courage, and sheer human unpredictability. Ella looked out across the chasm toward the jagged rocks beyond. There's more ahead, she said. I can feel it. And it's going to be worse. Liam nodded, his mind already running through possible strategies. Each challenge this planet threw at them was deadly, yes, but humans didn't fear death. They studied it, learned from it, and overcame it. Sophie adjusted her suit again, checking their energy readings. The pulses are irregular now, she said. It's reacting faster, trying to adapt to our patterns. Liam smiled. Good. That means it knows we're different. That means it's learning. And we'll stay one step ahead. They began to move again, stepping lightly over the jagged rocks and timing their jumps carefully. Every pulse, every shift in the glowing energy tested them. Every movement demanded attention, focus, and courage. But the humans advanced, each step a statement. This death world could try to kill them, but it would fail. Hours seemed to pass as they navigated the chasm, each jump and landing bringing new dangers. Liam felt sweat bead on his forehead beneath the helmet, and he could hear Sophie and Tom adjusting their breathing, focused yet calm. Ella's eyes scanned constantly, always searching for new threats. They were tired, yes, but alive, and every challenge only made them stronger. Finally they reached the far side of the chasm. Liam stepped onto solid ground, feeling the energy pulse fade behind them. Sophie, Ella, and Tom followed, each landing with careful precision. Liam looked back at the glowing abyss, feeling a strange respect for its danger. This planet was alive and it had tried its best to stop them. But humans always found a way. Not bad, Liam said, a grin spreading beneath his helmet. Not bad at all. Sophie laughed softly. Tom slapped her shoulder lightly, and Ella shook her head with a smile. They had survived the first deadly challenge of this alien world, and in doing so, proved once again that humans were unpredictable, adaptable, and impossible to stop. They paused for a moment, looking at the glowing chasm behind them. It was beautiful, terrifying, and alive, but no match for humans. Liam felt a surge of pride and excitement. Ahead of them, the planet waited, full of danger and challenges yet to come. And the humans would face it, fearless, daring, and alive. As they moved onward, Liam couldn't help but whisper to himself, they didn't expect this. And they never will. The chasm faded behind them, but the pulse of the planet remained, a constant reminder that this world wanted to kill them. And yet, here they were, walking forward, alive, defiant, and human. The fog hung thick around them, swirling in strange currents that made it hard to see more than a few feet ahead. Liam moved carefully, boots crunching over the jagged rocks and shifting debris, his eyes scanning every shadow. Something wasn't right. He could feel it in the air, a presence that didn't belong to the wind or the terrain. Then, without warning, shadows lunged from the fog. Shapes moved too quickly to see clearly, twisting and elongating, their limbs ending in sharp points that glinted in the pale light. Alien predators, creatures designed to hunt and kill intruders, had chosen their moment to strike. The first one leapt from a cluster of jagged rocks, its teeth snapping, claws slicing the air. Liam's heart pounded, but he didn't falter. Humans weren't built to panic. They were built to adapt. Ella reacted instantly. From her belt, she pulled small devices, setting them quickly along the uneven ground. Tiny spikes shot from the devices, glowing faintly, creating traps designed to slow and confuse the predators. She worked with precision, her hands moving faster than the creatures could react. One predator lunged at her, but it landed on a trap, jerking back with a screech that echoed across the foggy terrain. Tom, meanwhile, took a more direct approach. He waved his arms, shouted, and ran in a wide arc, drawing the attention of another predator. The creature snapped and twisted to follow him, momentarily distracted from its original target. His grin was wide, almost manic, but there was no fear in it. Humans thrived on unpredictability, and Tom's boldness embodied that completely. The predator hesitated, unsure whether to attack the running human or follow instinct and return to hunting. Liam led the team through the chaos. He moved with purpose, guiding them towards safer ground, keeping the predators at bay. Every step he took was measured, every movement calculated to avoid the deadly claws that struck too close for comfort. Yet he didn't move like a scared prey. He moved like a predator himself, confident, fearless, and impossible to predict. The aliens were made to hunt, yes, but they had never faced humans like this. The fog thickened, wrapping around them, and Liam could hear the soft, wet sounds of the predators moving. There were more than they had expected, shadows slipping through the haze like liquid darkness. They had multiple heads, some with eyes that glowed faintly, others with limbs that seemed to bend in impossible directions. Yet even as they lunged and snapped, the humans reacted faster than their instincts could anticipate. Ella dropped another trap, timing it perfectly. A predator stepped onto it and was thrown back, snarling and clawing at the air, disoriented. She adjusted her aim, flicking another device toward a second predator, which faltered mid-leap. Tom kept running, baiting them skillfully, moving closer to the edge of the next rocky ridge and making the predators miscalculate their own jumps. Humans weren't just surviving, they were dominating. The creatures hesitated, confused by the chaos. They had evolved to hunt systematically, relying on patterns and instinct. But humans were chaos incarnate. Liam could see the moment the predators realized they were outmatched, not in strength but in unpredictability. Every human movement, every trap, every distraction defied their hunting logic. These creatures had never encountered life that acted without predictability, without fear, without submission. Liam shouted a command and the team shifted position, moving in a tight, deliberate formation. The predators lunged again, but this time the humans anticipated their moves. Ella's traps forced them into awkward angles, Tom's distractions drew their attention away from the team's path, and Liam's leadership guided them safely toward a narrow canyon. The predators hesitated again, the fog making them uncertain of every shadow. Sophie, who had stayed slightly behind the group to monitor the energy readings of the terrain, called out, "They're learning from us, but slower than we thought." "We can move." Liam nodded. "Then we move. Steady, precise and fast." The humans moved as one, synchronized through instinct and training. Every step was a statement that this world might be deadly, but humans would not die here. Even as claws sliced through the fog and teeth snapped near their boots, they did not falter. Each predator that attacked found itself slowed, trapped, or thrown off by human improvisation. The death world was designed to stop all life. But humans were not just any life. Ella glanced over her shoulder and saw one of the larger predators circling. Its head twisted unnaturally as it tried to calculate their movements. She threw a small energy net, wrapping it around the creature's legs. It roared, struggling against the trap, but Liam had already directed the others to move past it. Tom waved and drew the creature away while the rest of the team slipped safely through a narrow gap between rocks. Liam's mind raced. He noticed patterns in the predator's attacks. The timing, the hesitation after encountering traps, their instinctive retreat from unpredictable movements. Humans were fast, yes, but they were smarter than the aliens expected. They thought in ways the predators couldn't, acted in ways the predators couldn't anticipate, and adapted in ways the predators couldn't comprehend. Every step Liam took, every command he gave reinforced that humans were not prey, they were the anomaly. The fog shifted again, carrying the scent of something acidic, sharp, and metallic. The predators paused, confused by the new chemical in the air from the traps Ella had set. Their movements slowed, jerking unnaturally as they tried to adjust to the human tactics. Liam grinned beneath his helmet. Humans had learned the art of unpredictability long before this planet had been built. Tom's laughter echoed through the fog as he ducked under a snapping claw. "They can't keep up," he shouted. Ella smirked, her traps snapping shut one after another, disorienting any predator that got too close. Liam led the team steadily forward, using the uneven terrain to their advantage. Every cliff, every jagged rock, every shadow in the fog became a weapon, a barrier or a path. Humans turned the death world itself into their ally, simply by moving, thinking, and surviving. Sophie caught up to Liam, her suit sensors beeping rapidly. "There's a clearing ahead," she said. "If we reach it, the fog thins and we can regroup." Liam nodded. "Good. Lead the way." They moved carefully, the predators still circling, still hesitant, but unable to mount a coordinated attack. Every time a predator tried to advance, humans disrupted its path with traps, sudden movements, and misdirection. Chaos ruled the battlefield, and humans were its masters. The creatures had evolved to kill methodically, but humans were chaos made flesh. They didn't fight by instinct alone, they thought, adapted, and acted unpredictably. The clearing came into view. The fog was thinner here, revealing jagged rocks and uneven terrain that would have been impossible for many species to navigate. Liam motioned for the team to pause, taking a moment to catch their breath. Even in the midst of danger, humans were able to pause, analyze, and plan. They had survived this encounter not by brute strength, but by skill, intelligence, and the audacity to face a predator that had been designed to stop all life. Liam surveyed the scene. Some predators had retreated slightly, still disoriented by the traps and the humans' rapid movements. Others lingered, testing the group, but none dared charge without hesitation. The humans had changed the battlefield with their actions, turning a world designed to kill into one that they controlled, at least for now. Ella wiped sweat from her brow beneath the helmet. "I think we can move through the clearing safely," she said. Tom nodded, still grinning. "Of course. They're smart, but they've never faced us before. Chaos is a human specialty." Liam smiled. He knew the predators would try again, but humans didn't wait for danger, they met it head-on. "Let's go," he said. "Careful, fast, precise. And don't give them an inch." They moved as a single unit, each step measured but daring, each movement unpredictable. The predators lunged and snapped, but they were no match for human improvisation and coordination. Liam felt a surge of pride and adrenaline. Humans had survived a test that would have killed almost anything else. They were alive, and they were proving step by step that no world, no trap, and no predator could fully stop them. As they reached the far side of the clearing, the fog thinned further. Liam turned to the group. "We made it," he said, though his voice carried no relief, only determination. "And we'll make it through the next challenge too. Because we're human." The predators retreated into the fog, watching, calculating, but unable to comprehend the unpredictable chaos they faced. Humans had survived again not by being the strongest, but by being unpredictable, adaptable, and relentless. Liam, Ella, Tom, and Sophie pressed onward, deeper into the alien world, alive, defiant, and ready for whatever horrors lay ahead. The valley stretched before them like a quiet trap, its slopes shrouded in mist that moved like living fingers. The air was cold and heavy, and every sound seemed to echo unnaturally, carrying whispers that made the skin on Liam's neck crawl. Even the rocks seemed to hum with energy, vibrating slightly as if responding to their presence. It was unlike anything they had experienced on the jagged peaks or the glowing chasm. This valley was alive in a different way. It wasn't just physical danger, it was mental, emotional, a test of every thought they carried. Sophie led the group, scanning the path ahead. Her visor flickered with strange energy readings, signals that didn't match any known technology. Her brow furrowed as she moved forward, the whispers growing louder in the back of her mind. They weren't words she could understand, but they tugged at something deep inside her. Doubts, fears, regrets, all the things she tried to ignore, hidden away beneath training and courage. The valley seemed to pull them to the surface, twisting them into shapes and sounds that preyed on their minds. Liam noticed her hesitation. Sophie slowed, taking a step back, her hand tightening on the edge of her suit. The whispers seemed to grow louder as she faltered. She was human, yes, but even the strongest humans had cracks where fear could creep in. Liam stepped beside her, his presence steady and calm. "Keep moving," he said quietly but firmly. "Don't listen to it. Nothing here can touch us if we don't let it." His voice was a lifeline, tethering her to reality amidst the chaos. The shadows of the valley twisted around them, forming shapes that resembled past failures, lost comrades, and personal fears. Liam saw fleeting images of his own life, missions gone wrong, choices that haunted him, moments where he had doubted himself. He felt the pull of the valley, but he refused to stop. Fear was part of life, part of being human, but humans didn't let fear control them. They acknowledged it and then they moved forward, stronger for it. Sophie took a deep breath and nodded, stepping forward again. She clenched her fists inside her gloves, forcing herself to focus. The whispers tried to push, to paralyze, but Liam's presence reminded her of her strength. Humans had a way of facing fear that no alien trap could account for. They didn't just survive physically, they survived mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. The valley was testing them, and humans had a unique talent. They smiled in the face of terror. Ella walked beside Liam, her eyes scanning the shadows for physical threats, while her mind fought the whispers attempting to stir her own doubts. She felt the cold prickling at the edges of her mind, memories of missions where she had failed or watched others fall. But she was human. She had learned that fear could be used as fuel, as focus. Every step forward was a refusal to be broken, a statement that no trap, no matter how cleverly designed, could take away the human spirit. Tom laughed softly, a low, steady sound that cut through the valley's whispers. "This place is trying too hard," he said. "It thinks it can scare us. But it doesn't know humans." His grin under the helmet was small, but it carried defiance. The valley could whisper all it wanted. It could project fears, visions, and doubt. But humans thrived in challenge. Fear didn't stop them. It sharpened them, made them more alive, more unpredictable. Liam led them through a narrow path, jagged rocks pressing in on either side, the fog thickening. The whispers grew louder, now sounding almost like voices calling out names, failures, and weaknesses. Sophie flinched, but Liam kept moving, stepping in front of her when necessary, guiding them all forward. Humans could face terror and still keep their minds intact. That was their strength. That was why they could walk through worlds designed to end life. The valley seemed to react to their persistence. The shapes in the fog shifted, as if frustrated by the humans' refusal to yield. Rocks trembled slightly, winds whipped up suddenly, and the whispers became more insistent. Yet the humans pressed on, moving as a unit, their courage forming an invisible shield against the assault. Every movement was deliberate, every step a declaration of resilience. The valley's power was strong, but humans were stronger. Sophie's breathing grew steadier with each step. She began to understand something crucial: fear only had power if they allowed it. She focused on her surroundings, the path forward, the rocks, the fog, the subtle changes in the valley's energy. The whispers tried to sway her, to make her doubt herself, but she refused to yield. She was a human, and humans had survived worse. Ella set small markers along the path, tools to monitor the energy and detect any shifts that might indicate danger. Even while under psychological pressure, she stayed practical, disciplined, and alert. Every human in this team had the ability to act under stress. It wasn't instinct alone, it was training, courage, and an innate refusal to break. The valley could whisper their deepest fears, but it could not break them. Tom ran his hand along a jagged wall, feeling the vibrations under the rock. "It wants us to stop, to fall apart," he said. "But humans? We just don't do that." He smiled even as shadows moved near him, forming shapes that tried to mimic past fears and failures. He kept moving, kept distracting the shadows, drawing them away from the others. Chaos, unpredictability, courage, that was human. And the valley could not understand it. Liam led the group toward a wider clearing, where the whispers softened slightly, though they never truly went away. The valley seemed to acknowledge their persistence. Humans had faced its terror and had not broken. Every member of the team was breathing heavily, but they were alive, their minds intact. Humans didn't just survive physical dangers. They faced mental challenges, emotional trials, and kept moving forward. The valley had tested them, and humans had smiled through it. Sophie stopped for a moment, her hand brushing fog aside. She looked at Liam. "We made it," she said softly. We didn't stop." Liam nodded, eyes scanning the fog ahead. "No. We never stop. Fear is just another part of the path. Humans face it and we keep moving." He glanced at the others. Ella and Tom were adjusting their equipment, checking sensors, their faces set in determination. "We walk through the worst and we walk out alive. That's what humans do." The valley whispered still, but its voice was weaker now. It had tested them, tried to break them, and failed. Humans had passed its trial, not by brute force, but by refusing to yield to terror. They had faced illusions, fears, and psychological assaults, yet they remained unbroken. The valley was dangerous, yes, but humans were unstoppable when they chose to be. They moved forward slowly, carefully, stepping over jagged rocks, through fog that still seemed alive. Liam noticed how every member of the team held themselves differently, alert, cautious, but defiant. The whispers tried to tempt them into hesitation or panic, but the humans ignored them, using their own focus and teamwork as a shield. The valley was powerful, but humans were stronger. Ella glanced back at the shadows twisting in the fog. "It's frustrated," she said. "It doesn't know what to do with us." Tom laughed softly. "Good. Let it try harder. We're humans. Chaos is our nature. Fear is our friend, not our enemy." Liam smiled beneath his helmet. He could feel the valley pressing, trying to test them further, but he knew they were ready for anything. Humans didn't run from fear. They used it, faced it, and moved forward stronger. The whispers faded slightly as they continued, their voices less threatening against the team's confidence. The clearing widened, revealing jagged cliffs and a path that led upward. Liam led the team toward it, each step deliberate, every movement precise. They had passed the valley's test, and though the whispers lingered, they no longer held power over the humans. Fear was a tool, danger a challenge, and the unknown a puzzle to solve. Sophie exhaled, letting her breath clear the tension in her body. "I understand now," she said quietly. "We can face anything." Liam nodded. "Yes. Humans face terror and smile. We never break. And this world, this valley, is just another step in the path." The team moved forward, unbroken, their confidence steady. They had faced illusions, whispers, and the very depths of fear and survived. Humans were alive because they refused to yield, because courage, curiosity, and determination were stronger than any Deathworld could ever be. And so, step by step, they pressed onward through the valley, alive, fearless, and human. A massive structure rose ahead of them, partially hidden by jagged cliffs and swirling fog. Its surface was metallic, covered with strange markings that pulsed faintly with a blue light. Liam's suit sensors hummed as they approached, picking up energy readings far stronger than anything they had seen on the planet before. The hum wasn't just noise, it vibrated through the rocks, through the air, through their suits. It was alive, dangerous, and purposeful. A massive alien machine designed to stop all life that dared enter this death world was standing before them. Liam slowed the team as they reached the edge of the clearing. His eyes scanned the surface, noting the energy flows running along pipes and circuits embedded in the alien metal. "This is it," he said quietly. "The core. The trap we've been walking into all along." Sophie crouched beside him, her fingers tapping on her wrist display as she analyzed the readings. Sparks of energy leapt from the machine in uneven arcs, almost like a heartbeat, and she could feel the tension in the air. The place wasn't just alive, it was intelligent, calculating, lethal. Ella adjusted her gloves and glanced at the others. "It's not moving yet," she said. "But it knows we're here. Can you feel it?" Liam nodded, his jaw tight beneath his helmet. He could feel the hum in his chest, the pressure of its intent trying to anticipate their every move. Most species would have frozen, paralyzed by the sheer scale and danger of the machine. But humans didn't freeze, they adapted. They didn't react, they improvised. Tom grinned beneath his helmet. Well, it's big and it's loud and I don't like it. But it's not smart enough to know us yet. Liam shook his head, smiling faintly. Tom's audacity was exactly what humans needed in moments like this. Fear might paralyze others, but humans thrived on the impossible, using courage and ingenuity as weapons. The machine's surface shifted suddenly, metallic plates sliding and rotating as if sensing their presence. Energy arcs licked across the ground, snapping dangerously close to their boots. Liam took a careful step forward, signaling the others to follow. We'll move slowly, study its patterns and act when the moment is right, he said. Sophie's fingers flew over her wrist panel, sending small pulses of interference to mask their energy signatures. The machine hummed louder, almost in frustration, as if it had not anticipated this. Liam crouched behind a low ridge, studying the flow of energy and the timing of the arcs. It's designed to fry anything organic that comes close, he said. But it expects straightforward attackers. It doesn't understand humans. His words carried more than confidence, they carried knowledge. Humans didn't approach danger the way most creatures did. They didn't follow rules the alien machine was built to enforce. Ella stepped lightly beside him, setting small markers along the rocky ground. Each marker emitted a faint pulse, creating subtle feedback loops to confuse the machine's sensors. Tom crouched behind a jagged outcrop, tapping his wrist device to amplify the interference. The machine's hum shifted, arcs of energy sparking wildly, trying to adjust to the unexpected patterns. Liam watched carefully, noting the small weaknesses, the pauses, the points where the energy flows were predictable. Sophie whispered, I think I can reroute part of its energy. It will create an opening if we act together. Liam nodded. Do it. We'll move through the opening once we have it. Her fingers flew across the panel, tapping into the alien machine's circuits. Sparks flickered across the metal surface as the machine tried to compensate. Energy beams that had threatened to fry any intruder began to flicker unevenly. Its pattern was precise, but it had not accounted for human improvisation. Ella set another trap, small but effective, that redirected an energy arc just enough to make it harmless. Tom drew its attention by waving and moving strategically, a human inside a machine designed to predict every movement. The massive hum grew louder, faster, almost frantic, but Liam remained calm. He watched for the perfect moment, noting a gap in the arcs. Now, he said sharply. Liam led the team forward, slipping through the opening with careful, measured steps. Sophie and Ella followed closely, the markers and pulses masking their presence just enough. Tom leapt ahead, distracting the machine again, moving unpredictably in a way the alien design could not anticipate. The machine's energy arcs snapped and hissed around them, but none touched the humans. Every step was deliberate, yet daring. Humans didn't just survive, they manipulated, improvised, and conquered. The machine tried to anticipate them, swinging energy arcs in patterns it had learned, but humans were not predictable. Liam adjusted their path, weaving between sparks, using the terrain as cover. Sophie rerouted small energy flows, guiding the arcs away from the team. Ella deployed another pulse trap, redirecting energy that had nearly struck her boots. Tom ran, laughed, and drew the machine's attention just enough to allow the others to slip past. They reached a low ridge closer to the machine. Liam studied its surface, noting small panels that seemed weaker, less reinforced. We can do more than just avoid it, he said. We can make it work for us. Sophie looked up, understanding immediately. She tapped rapidly on her wrist panel, sending more pulses into the circuits. Sparks flared and the machine twitched as if resisting. Energy flows shifted, and arcs that had been deadly now cleared a safe path. Liam led the team forward again, slipping past a spinning blade of energy that had previously blocked their path. The machine tried to react, but it could not process the humans' unpredictability. It was fast, precise, and deadly, but humans were cleverer, faster in thought, and flexible in ways no alien design could calculate. Every step forward was proof of that. They moved deeper into the core chamber. The air was thick with static, buzzing like a storm. Liam crouched to study the patterns of energy beneath a massive metallic column. We can reroute this, he said. If we do it right, we'll have enough time to pass completely unharmed. He signaled Sophie and Ella, and together they activated a coordinated pulse. Sparks shot across the machine's surface, arcs shifting wildly, and for the first time, it hesitated. The massive alien construct paused, unable to anticipate the next move. Tom ran forward, deliberately baiting another energy arc, and the machine shifted its focus toward him. Liam motioned for the rest to move. Step by step, they crossed the chamber, the energy arcs snapping harmlessly around them. Humans were never predictable, and the machine's design had not accounted for it. Its lethal intent, built over eons to end all life, had failed because humans thought differently. They improvised, adapted, and acted outside the machine's logic. Sophie smiled as she watched the energy patterns realign around the team's interference. "It's failing," she said quietly. "It doesn't know what to do." Liam nodded, keeping his eyes on the arcs. "Good. Keep it that way." Ella leapt over a small gap where the floor had collapsed, her boots barely touching the ground as she landed safely. Tom waved behind her, drawing the machine's attention, letting Liam and Sophie slip past the final barrier. The machine flared, arcs spinning wildly, panels sliding in frantic motion, but it could not adjust fast enough. Humans had turned its own systems against it, outthinking a creation meant to destroy them. Finally, they reached the far side of the core. Liam stepped forward, examining the machine's main console. Sparks were flying from exposed circuits, arcs of energy flickering unpredictably. "It's done," he said simply. The trap, massive and deadly, had failed. Humans were smarter than it imagined. They had survived what no species had endured before, using courage, improvisation, and intelligence. Tom laughed, a low, victorious sound. "Not so smart now, huh?" Ella smiled faintly, brushing dust off her gloves. Sophie exhaled, checking the readings to ensure no energy remained a threat. Liam nodded, satisfied. The machine had been designed to kill all life that dared enter this planet. It had succeeded against everything else, but humans had passed through it, unbroken, clever, and alive. They took a moment to rest, catching their breath and surveying the massive alien machine. Sparks still flew from panels, energy arcs flared sporadically, and the hum continued, but it was no longer threatening. Humans had turned the trap into a lesson. Predictability is weak, but adaptability is strength. They had not just survived, they had proven that the human mind, daring, and courage were stronger than any machine, no matter how advanced. Liam studied the hum, noting weak points and potential pathways. "This world was made to end life," he said quietly. "But it forgot to account for humans." Sophie smiled, her hands still on her panel, keeping small pulses flowing to maintain the machine's disruption. "We're alive because we think differently," she said. "Because we don't follow rules blindly." Tom laughed again. "They can try to kill us, but they can't understand us." Ella nodded, looking at the sparks, then at her teammates. "We're human. That's enough." Liam led the team past the machine, carefully moving over the now quieter energy fields. They had survived the core of the trap, the deadliest part of the planet, by being smarter, faster, and unpredictable. The alien construct, designed to end life, had failed because humans did what no other species could do. They improvised, adapted, and refused to die. They stepped out of the core chamber into a wider plateau, the hum of the machine fading behind them. Liam turned to the group. "We made it," he said. "Alive, unbroken, and smarter than the deadliest trap in this world." The others smiled beneath their helmets, each feeling the weight of what they had survived. Humans were not just survivors, they were the ultimate Deathworlders. The fog slowly thinned as the humans moved forward, revealing jagged cliffs and sharp rocks stretching as far as the eye could see. The harsh glow of the alien energy faded behind them, leaving the terrain eerily quiet. Liam led the way, boots crunching over the uneven ground, each step careful but determined. The sun broke through the clouds above, spilling weak, golden light across the rocks. After the long, deadly journey through the valley, the glowing chasm, and the alien machine, they were finally reaching the edge. The light felt warm, almost unreal, after the oppressive danger they had faced. Tom was the first to break the tense silence. He grinned beneath his helmet, a wide, victorious smile that seemed to absorb the sunlight itself. "We made it," he said, voice echoing slightly across the cliffs. "We actually made it." Liam glanced at him, shaking his head but unable to hide a smile. "Barely," he said. "And don't get too confident. This world has more tricks up its sleeve. But yes, we survived." Sophie laughed softly, a sound of relief that seemed almost foreign after the constant tension of the death world. The fog, the predators, the Valley of Whispers, and the alien machine all felt like memories from a nightmare now fading. She looked at the team, at their battered suits and tired expressions, and realized something powerful: they were alive. Despite the impossible odds, the deadly traps, and the relentless planet, humans had walked through it and survived. Ella brushed dirt from her gloves and scanned the horizon with her sensors. No more immediate threats, she said, her voice steady. For now at least. She wasn't joking. Even in their exhausted state, every member of the team knew this planet had layers of danger. But humans didn't just survive, they adapted. They faced danger with logic, skill, and audacity. No trap had succeeded in stopping them, and no predator had been able to outthink them. Liam paused at the edge of a cliff overlooking a jagged valley below. The sun glinted off rocks and metallic remnants of the alien traps they had passed. He could feel the vibrations in the ground from the hum of the distant machine, still alive, still pulsing but weakened. Humans had faced it all: predators, psychological illusions, deadly energy arcs, and the alien machine itself. And yet they had not broken. Every step, every action, every thought had carried them through. Tom leaned against a rock, catching his breath. "I still don't get it," he said, shaking his head with a grin. "They built all that death, and we just walked through it. Like it was nothing." Liam chuckled. "Nothing is nothing to humans, Tom. We make nothing into something. We survive. We adapt. And sometimes, we thrive in the impossible." Sophie looked back at the cliffs they had crossed, the valley they had walked through, and the alien machine that had almost killed them. "I think the world underestimated humans," she said quietly. "Everything it threw at us, it expected fear, hesitation, mistakes. But we didn't give it any. Not once." Her voice held awe, not for themselves, but for the resilience and unpredictability of humans as a species. Ella nodded. "We didn't just survive. We taught it a lesson. The death world wanted to stop life. It tried to end everything. And we proved it wrong." She smiled faintly, feeling the weight of their survival. The alien planet had been built to kill, to test, to break, and yet here they were, alive, whole, and unbroken. Liam raised his arm, shielding his eyes from the sunlight, scanning the jagged horizon. The shadows of rocks stretched long and sharp, but they no longer felt threatening. They had passed every trial, faced every trap, and come through smarter, stronger, and more united. "We're leaving this place alive," he said. "Not because it wanted us to, but because we refused to die." Tom laughed again, the sound carrying across the plateau. "Refused to die. I like that. Sounds very human." He looked at Sophie, then Ella, and finally Liam. "We survived what nothing else could survive. This planet, it failed." Sophie's laugh was soft, warm, and free of fear. "It failed because it underestimated humans," she said. "We're adaptable. We're creative. We don't follow rules that try to trap us. And we don't stop when danger tries to scare us." She shook her head in disbelief at the incredible journey they had survived. "We survived because we're human. That's all it takes." Liam's gaze returned to the fading fog below. He could see hints of movement in the distance, remnants of energy from the alien machine. Sparks flashed faintly against the jagged rocks. Yet none of it threatened them now. Humans had shown that thinking differently, acting boldly, and refusing to yield could overcome even the deadliest challenges. He smiled faintly, a mix of pride and satisfaction. "We didn't just survive," he said. "We outsmarted it. Every step of the way." The team began to move forward again, careful but confident, leaving the remnants of the death world behind them. Tom led the way, occasionally glancing back with a grin. Ella and Sophie followed, scanning for threats but moving with an ease they had not felt before. Liam brought up the rear, making sure no detail escaped him. The planet was still dangerous, still alive, but they had conquered the deadliest part. They were humans. And humans didn't just survive. They dominated in ways no trap could predict. They reached a plateau where the sunlight spread fully across the rocks, warm and golden after the constant gray and fog. Liam stopped, taking a deep breath of filtered air. It felt strange, almost miraculous, to feel light without immediate threat. Tom dropped onto a rock and stretched, letting out a long, satisfied laugh. "I didn't think we'd make it," he said. "And yet, here we are." Sophie smiled, brushing dirt from her gloves. "Humans never give up," she said simply. "Even in the worst situations, even when everything seems impossible, we move forward." Ella nodded in agreement, scanning the horizon with a quiet determination. "The planet tried to end us," she said. "And it failed. That's all that matters." Liam looked at his team, proud and relieved. Every scratch, every dent in their suits, every sign of exhaustion told a story of survival, courage, and defiance. They had faced the Deathworld's traps, predators, and illusions, yet they remained unbroken. "We survived because we refused to be stopped," he said. "Because humans don't just follow rules, they make their own." The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows that danced over the jagged rocks. The alien planet stretched below, full of danger, strange energy, and the remnants of its deadly machine. But the humans had passed its tests. The predators, the traps, and the machine all tried to predict them, to end them, to claim their lives. None succeeded. Liam's heart swelled with pride. The planet may have been designed to kill, but humans were alive, and smarter, faster, and braver than anything it had anticipated. Tom stood, brushing himself off. "We did it," he said, laughing. "We survived the death world. And we did it in style." Liam shook his head, smiling faintly. "In style? Maybe. But mostly, we survived. That's what matters." Sophie laughed softly again, the sound carrying warmth through the sunlit rocks. "We survived because we never gave in," she said. "Because we didn't listen to fear, we didn't stop at danger, and we didn't let the traps define us." Ella nodded, her eyes bright beneath her helmet. "The death world tried to kill everything," she said. "But it didn't know humans. And humans always find a way." Liam took one last look back at the jagged cliffs, the glowing chasms, and the alien machine in the distance. Sparks still flew faintly from the damaged structure, energy arcs snapping occasionally, but it no longer held power over them. Humans had passed the test. The planet had tried its best, but it had failed. He turned back to the team, and together they began to walk forward, leaving the death world behind. Tom grinned again, stretching his arms. "We walked through hell, laughed at death, and came out alive," he said. "Not bad for humans, huh?" Liam smiled faintly. "Not bad at all. Not bad at all." Sophie laughed one last time, the tension of the journey melting away. "The death world had tested us," she said. "And it lost. Completely." Ella nodded silently, feeling the truth in her chest. They had survived impossible odds, faced horrors beyond imagination, and come out alive, unbroken, and smarter than anything the planet had thrown at them. The sunlight grew stronger as they moved onward, golden and warm against the harsh rocks. They had been battered, tested, and challenged at every step, but humans had survived. And that was all that mattered. The death world had tried to stop life, but humans walked through it, unbroken, defiant, and alive. They moved together across the plateau, each step a victory, each breath a reminder of their strength. Liam, Tom, Sophie, and Ella had faced the impossible and survived. The death world had tested them, challenged them, and tried to kill them, and it had lost. Humans were alive, unstoppable, and victorious.